We are back with the Gym Leader Chat Lounge podcast. Thanks for joining us, talking all things Gym Leader Challenge. And I am Benjamin Morse Makes, joined as always by John Patterson.
Hello.
And Tony Saya. How's it going?
What's going on, everybody?
And this week we're back. I'm back. I'm in a new room. All right. Perfect timing on the. Thank you, Apple, for the fireworks effects. Yeah, my room just does that now.
That came with the new house.
Perks of moving, yeah. I'm in a new room, moved, still a mess. Things are still in boxes, but officially living in the new house. It's been really exciting. And so I both apologize to you guys and thank you for your patience in this transition period, and then the 3K and the weeks off, and to Tony, John, and Alex for putting an episode out while I was gone. Yeah, it's been a little bit of a transition, but we're back and back to our normal schedule Tuesday mornings. So thanks for sticking around. And it's been a very eventful couple weeks here at the Gym Leader Chat Lounge podcast. Tony, back-to-back full grip badges, pre 3K, post 3K, 2 badges going from 3 to 5. Incredibly sick. Just right behind Carpenter at 6 badges. How does it feel, bro?
It honestly feels incredible. Like, Carpenter has been absolutely untouchable, like, for the last year straight. And like, to see that I'm only 1 badge behind, still got work to do, but like, it's exciting knowing that there's still a race to be had, like still competition going on.
That's right. It's not over yet. We've got maybe 7 or 8 more weeks in the season. I'm not exactly sure, but plenty of time for either you or Carpenter to pull ahead. Hopefully we'll have a new winner this season, and it would be so sick if it was a member of the crew. And so you're at 5, Hunter's at 4, right behind that, and then we've got me and John and a couple other people at 3. So yeah, I think you're our main hope right now, and we're looking forward to it. Yeah, pull up the glc.morsemakes.com where you can see all of the badge board and standings. Going fighting before the 3K and then colorless this past week. I mean, before we go deeper into your badges, John, how was your last 2 weeks?
You guys have seen it. I've been on a little bit of a dry spell ever since the podcast started. All my badges are pre-podcast. But just really spinning my wheels in metal. I play metal. This is the cycle. I play metal. Thursday night, I'm like, cool, I've had my fill, I'm done, I need to move on to something else. Then the next Thursday rolls around and I'm like, well, maybe we'll try metal one more time. Maybe this is the week. That's sort of the mentality I've had for like 2-3 months maybe. And so I think it's maybe time to force myself to move on to something else, try something different. Tony did some cool things with colorless this week, so could be something with that. But it's is what it is.
Yeah. And then of course at the 3K you were right there. I had to kill you.
Do it.
Yeah, I mean, you're so close every time, bro. I feel for you.
It was one of the closer ones. I've mentioned I've gone 5-2 pretty religiously at these events. This was not every time have I made it to my winning in. It was like I lost 2 early on. This was like, okay, I was right up till the end. Got paired into the homie, feels bad. A couple of us did. We'll talk about that later. Tom, the tournament software was out for blood in general. There was a lot of people pairing into each other, both locals and people who had come from far away.
Yeah, it was quite the tournament at the. I keep saying it's CRI. I keep thinking Chilling Rain. It's like where my mind goes. Chaos Rising. 3K that happened.
Did Full Grip have were the old 1Ks going on when Chilling Reign came out?
I don't think so.
Okay, I
I
was
think the
gonna say I
first
think it
one back
was
was
after
Brilliant
Brilliant
Stars.
Stars, right? Yeah.
The very
Yeah, I
first
think
one.
so.
Yeah, it was either Brilliant Stars or Fusion Strike.
Astral
Fusion Strike
Radiance,
was the
something like
first
that.
one. Fusion Strike was the first one, which is right before Brilliant Stars.
Okay.
I think that's what 2 sets after Chilling Reign, something
I
like
have
that.
no idea.
Yeah, it was the end of like the V Maxes right before the V Stars came out.
Yeah, right after Vivid Voltage.
Yes.
And
Oh God.
I don't know. Anyways, that was a long time ago. Here we are. Chaos Rising just came out. Deoxys made a statement getting into the finals with Brooke and Brooke's testing group. I think there was 3 of them in the top 16 with Deoxys, as well as Lee Hoffman with Deoxys in top 16. So Deoxys performed well. Did any of you guys play against Deoxys?
I had the unfortunate pleasure of playing against Deoxys. I played against Winter, who was the last 3K winner, and they're part of the Brooks testing group, and they rolled up with the Deoxys, and I got absolutely smashed by it. Like not like easily the least close game that I played all weekend long.
Yeah, I also played against Winter round 1 with the Deoxys. Did not see it once. Did not know. I saw that they had not the blind side not to. So I was like, oh, that's interesting. But never did I see the Deoxys come into play or hit the discard pile or anything. So when I found out Tony was paired, I said, like, I was like, yeah, it's just like, looks like it's like blind side without the blind side. And hopefully you weren't blindsided by a Deoxys popping up out of nowhere after I told you there wasn't
No,
anything
I was
crazy.
that game was lost from like the opening hand. It was decided
Yeah.
Deoxys or no
Same.
Deoxys. The Deoxys
Same.
just
That was the story of my round 1 against them too.
it was just like the
just,
fact the fact that I got Deoxys was like the cherry on top, like getting absolutely stunted on.
Yeah, after round 1, when John came out, I was like, oh yeah, I paired against Winter. And it was just Natu with, it was just like the regular 60 HP Natu. I was like, and if you could see a little bit, and if you watched my vlog, we were like, what is going on there? Like,
Yeah.
because we didn't know they were playing Deoxys. So I was just like, they were just like, yeah, no blindside. Like, in a way, it almost, I mean, obviously Deoxys is a great inclusion, but I mean, just before recording on the pod, I was talking about how I've heard, Wyatt did an interview with Turbo Blaze, so check that out. And Wyatt was saying, who won with Natu, by the way, congratulations, Wyatt. Won with Blindside. Said that they barely had use out of Blindside and Monkey Dory throughout the tournament. Kind of a lackluster showing from them. Not obviously the deck is incredibly strong that you don't even need them all the time, but just noticing that like wasn't using Monkey Dory maybe as much as they should have, or even not having to use Blindside too often. So and I heard the same sentiment kind of echoed from Brooke in Brooke's interview about how Monkey Dory, and maybe this is a fallout of the ban, the recent ban, Dimension Valley. Just all of your attackers requiring that extra energy that getting the dark on Monkey Dory is just that much more of a chore to get into play. But it's obviously a great card to have, in the face of other Giratinas pinging you and Giratina pinging yourself. It's just a great option to have that you can, if you need to, you can kind of go down that direction. But I'm interested to see how Psychic decks maybe continue to develop after the 3K. Are we going to ever start cutting the Monkey Dory and boost the consistency and power and towards a straight Deoxys or straight Blindside with just Tina pings? I don't know. What do you guys think?
Yeah, we sort of, when we're testing and stuff, coined the term sauceless psychic when we're talking about psychic that doesn't really have any frills. And so not necessarily looking to see psychic move towards completely no, comeback mechanics or 2 prize turns or anything like that. But with the loss of Dimension Valley, less than it was able to do before. It can't do everything it was able to do. You can't just throw everything into the deck and pick what you want to make work on a given turn. We mentioned last week, or the last time we recorded pre 3K, that you just don't have. It's just there's too much work for the psychic deck to pull off, basically, without that stadium to enable those plays. So that's the direction it's looking like it's heading.
It just like goes to show how like versatile and just broken the entire card pool is. The fact that you could cut, Natu and what's perceived to be like the best way to play the deck, and then it gets this card Deoxys that's like equally as good, and you just change a few cards and bam, it's another tier 1 archetype. Like just throw a Gallade line in, and what you want to play Giratina Monkey Dory, like you can play Giratina Monkey Dory. You want to play Deoxys with it, go for it. You want to play Natu with it, you're playing a broken deck no matter what. No, there's no wrong choice.
Yeah, put Xatu, Malamar, and Gallade in a deck, and pick any of your multi-prize turn combos to add to it, and whether that's just Blacephalon, Natu Blindside, Deoxys, Dusknoir is a little on the frills maybe because it's a stage 2, but Togekiss. There's so much.
Shout out Noah.
How many more ways do we need Psychic to be able to take multiple prizes,
It's got options, but the most important thing is you can't really put them all in the same deck anymore, is the sort of the conclusion I think we're reaching here.
Yeah. I was, in theorizing for the 3K, I was like, I wonder if you can play the Blindside deck and add Deoxys to it, and then you have both options, and you can go Deoxys on one turn, then Blindside on the next. But maybe that's a little greedy. So something like Winter and Brookslis, where they cut the Blindside and have some free space for added consistency when you're trying to get 5 energy on a Deoxys in addition to that. Did Lee didn't play Blindside. Lee just played more of a turbo Deoxys without the Blindside as well. So yeah, no Blindside and Deoxys combo. Pick one.
Mm-hmm.
Pick one for now.
Maybe
you could cut the monkey package, cut Monkey Dark Energy, put back in either, put back in the timepiece and the Blindside in the Monkey Dark spot into like Brooks list? Question mark.
Yeah,
maybe.
Let us know in the comments.
The thing that I don't like about the potentially choosing, like having both in the same deck, is that it feels like a lot of times when you're playing the deck, you have Boulder, and you get like a passive energy attachment for turn, and a lot of times it goes to like onto your Xatu, but like having to choose whether you want to load that like passive energy onto Xatu, or like you get like a free psychic recharge if your attacker lives. Having the choice to decide if you want to put it on Deoxys or the Xatu to potentially blindside later on. I don't know. Seems like a lot.
Yeah, that's a good point. They kind of fulfill that same role, like you said, of being the passive attachee. Mm-hmm. So that makes sense. Yeah. So, I haven't really fully introduced the episode yet, but in this episode, we're going to talk about some of Tony's lists that he won his badges with. We're going to talk about what happened at the 3K. Haven't even mentioned that I got 3rd place yet, but you probably already knew that if you are watching this channel. And so we'll talk about our list. We all played the same 60 and just our experience in the tournament, and show off the top 8 lists and maybe some of the rest of the field cool lists that were being played and doing well. So that's the plan for today, and we've obviously got a pretty good start on that. So why don't we just Tony, let's see some of the lists you won with. So 2 weeks ago.
This was 2 weeks ago. This was the Thursday before the 3K. I won with Andrew Mahone's creation, the Barbiyama deck. I played the list that he won, the Collecticon, I believe is what it was called, Collecticon tournament in Arkansas, the 1K, and I changed one card. I cut Town Map for energy retrieval, to the dismay of a couple others, but this Thursday night, I didn't prize either of the rocks any of the 5 rounds. I didn't prize Dogi even once, I think. So it was a card that like felt like it made no difference. But I didn't. It didn't even get good testing for me. Going into the weekend of the 3K, I was like, I just want a card that I like know is gonna be powerful no matter what. So that's why I picked Energy Retrieval.
Yeah.
But yeah, just played his list and went 5-0. Got the true first place. No bringing it down to resistance.
Nothing like
or
this
anything.
week, huh?
Nothing. Yeah, dirty Tony, dirty player.
Nice. Well, congrats on getting the fighting badge. Yeah, and we obviously performed for you the week before the 3K, and we all ended up cooking more on it to go into the weekend. But yeah, solid.
Yep.
Town map did make its way back in for
Yeah,
the
spoiler
3K.
alert. Yes.
Yes, we talked Tony down off the ledge of not prizing anything.
I
One
did.
locals doesn't mean that you're gonna do it for 7 rounds of a.
Yes. Believe it or
3K.
not, our Thursday nights at Full Grip, because of the badge race, tend to not be the best places to test for the 3Ks.
Nah,
No,
it's a different meta.
The meta is wildly different.
absolutely. Like, yeah, there's barely any psychic being played. There's maybe, I mean, there's still a good amount of psychic in the field, but like you'll maybe hit one, maybe,
Yeah.
and in the local setting, in the plan with fighting to just go fast anyways, it's like, okay, I can maybe squeak one out, and we need the fighting badge, so we got to play it anyway. So
Exactly.
But yeah, nice was nice. All right, then what happened this week?
All right, this week. Sorry for the little bit of scuff picture here. I played the colorless deck, and I always joke around about how I just like I get home Thursday night and I leave my bag downstairs, and I don't think about my deck until like 3 o'clock before. Like 3 o'clock Thursday night before the local starts, and I was like, okay, I think the next best deck I got is colorless, and I'm not really into any control shenanigans, so I'm just gonna play an attacking colorless list. And I will say, after all my testing with the fighting deck and playing in the 3K this weekend, Hariyama felt insane, like insanely broken to have that passive ability to just gust. So I decided to just play a regular attacking turbo colorless list, but I threw the double line in there to have that same gusting effect, and I went 4-0-1, did not get the true 5-0 first place badge. I tied my last round against Hoop. And yeah, playing this again, it felt like we were back. It felt like this was Journey together. Just playing like the fastest deck with the best attacker and the best consistency.
How did the double perform?
The double, honestly, okay. Talking about how prizing stuff on Thursday nights doesn't affect, testing or anything. I prized double, I think, 4 games. Not like every game I'm just like fan rotoming for the Wooloo, and I'm ultra balling it away the next turn because my double is prized. But when it got in there, it was pretty good. And I decided, you see at the bottom here some of the cuts. And this list picture has Special Charge Winona and Sinlin, but in the actual event, I played Triple XL Hilda and Scoop Up Net. And the double got in there a lot with the Triple XL, just because it's like Guz Mahala. If you have a way to search the double in hand, Guz Mahala can kind of find you the option to Lost City one of your opponent's little guys off the bench. You just like gust up a Curlia or gust up a Soul Rock. You could go Triple XL plus Hop's Choice Band 110 and Lost City. Any of your opponent's consistency guys that they need to set up.
Yeah, seems really strong. Obviously, you've been playing, and I'm still playing Diggersby.
Yeah.
Come on, where's the Diggersby?
Dude, I was tired. Okay, say we don't hit the psychic decks a lot at locals, but when you do, my God, it's a miserable experience. I think about this about the past couple weeks, and I was thinking about what deck I wanted to play, what colorless deck I wanted to play. When Brook won their badge at our locals a couple weeks ago, I got my Diggersby Mimikyu copycatted. So Brook put 30 damage on all their bench Pokemon, and I was like head in hands, like how like I can't even attempt to come back from this. So I was out on the Diggersby, unfortunately.
All right, all right. I
Still
just still
still a
think
sick
it's so
card. It's
fun.
not the metaphor.
Yeah, it's a hard
Yeah.
choice because it's like if you're trying to win a badge, it's like, yeah, once in a blue moon you can go 4-1 and get a badge, but it's like you can't sacrifice any single matchup, it feels like, in your deck
Yeah.
choice. You can't just be like, well, I'll just take a loss to the psychic deck.
Right. And something else back in a big way. HP tools.
Mm-hmm.
What's happening there?
There's been rumblings on our local scene that Fuel Blower tends to be a dead card right now. And I agree. Like, Fuel Blower is not a great card because a lot of decks that used to be playing these HP buffing tools like Colorless or Water just aren't that popular anymore. So you don't really need the Field Blower because a lot of times the best thing you're Field Blowering is like a U-turn board. Or I guess Parallel City is the other big one. But if you just slot in like a Lost Vacuum over the Field Blower, you're having like the higher impact. You could Lost Zone the U-turn board, and it's also still an out to like if somebody is playing an HP buffing tool or Parallel. So I was like, people are down on Field Blower, and I'm just gonna play. I'm gonna make my guys huge. Like in the fighting matchup, you could Lux Cape your Cramorant and get it to live like 2 or 3 turns. You could Lux Cape the Snorlax, give it 250 HP. Like I'm using old, forgotten about strategies,
And it paid off.
and it did pay off. Yeah, my Fighting Fury belt put in work in the fighting matchup against Andrew.
What happened?
I put it on. So we were basically going blow for blow with Lost City, and it came down to he basically had a Barbaracle. That was his attacker, and he Barbaracle does 80 for 3. So I put my Fighting Fury belt on my Thumping Snorlax to make it live a Barbaracle attack, which 160 with weakness, and Andrew's not playing Field Blower or any tool removal in his fighting deck.
Nope.
So it lived the Barbaracle attack, and it flipped double heads the next turn to wake up to get the knockout.
Let's freaking go. We're so back.
We got in there.
That's so hype. Yeah. Yep. Now seems sick. Double does seem broken. Just tossing in an extra gust with a turbo aggro deck. We learned the lesson with the fighting deck. Why not do it in colorless as well?
Yep.
Need the colorless badge, and you beat me to it. I've been playing Diggersby, and I've like done pretty good with Diggersby, but I can't cross the finish line.
It's the fighting deck and the colorless deck are like 4-1 machines. It's like they're so consistent and so quick, but you'll hit either the game where you don't Rotom or the game where you don't Soul Rock, or you hit like Psychic, and it just feels horrible.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, congrats, man. Getting
Thank you.
up to 5 badges. Yeah. Let's go for the first 3-peat. You could, I don't think a 3-peat has ever been done.
I don't think a 3-peat has ever happened.
Yeah, get the hat trick, man.
What am I playing, though? What am I playing this Thursday?
It's funny because John was talking about how he's going to switch off metal, and me and Tony after League, I was like, probably just played metal, man. Like, I don't know what else.
I will say,
trust me, it's a trap. I can promise you.
We got
learn from my mistakes.
Some GLCL leaks here. I did put in an order to full grip with some of my winnings. I bought a bunch of grass cards. Ooh. So we might be...
The question is which ones?
Not Terraplume cards. Because I already own them. No, just kidding.
All right.
The Chestnut seems cool. The new Chestnut that came out. So I'm thinking...
I was sorting some bulk, and I looked at him, and I was like, maybe it's grass.
He's interesting. I just a little tangent here. Talking in the Discord about how I think right now Torterra is like extremely weak.
That's so insane to say.
He's just not that great. He's like the weakest.
He's still the best guy in grass. I don't know what you're talking about.
But what if you could just go quicker?
You can't. You're talking about putting Chestnut in the deck, bro.
Grotto lets you go quicker. Quilladin, I think, is the middle evolution. He doesn't do anything for your deck.
No. What if we just cut the stage 2 Torterra, and the only stage 2 we played in the deck was Beautifly? Just let us draw cards.
You do
No.
that, and then let me know how many times you're able to find your Beautify line without Grottle.
All right, everybody, you're hearing all of the doubters in my ear right now. When I three-peat this Thursday with the
It
grass
sounded
deck,
like Alex Carpenter running away with season 3, bro.
no, I can't let that happen. I'm so close.
I'm trying to not let it happen for you, bro. There's some crazy words being tossed out around here.
Nope, everybody wants to.
Torterra, I will never accept that Torterra is outclassed in the grass deck right now, bro. There's absolutely no way.
Listen,
He is just that guy until they print just another better Torterra somehow.
out of all the big guys in the format, we're talking Okidogi, we're talking Whale Lord, we're talking Torterra. He's easily the worst. It doesn't help that his deck is also probably the worst, so it might just be a symptom of the other cards around him. But I'm reinventing the wheel, you know?
You're reinventing the square wheel, bro.
Whatever, man.
Anyways, so that was our last 2 weeks at Full Grip. No full league recap. Obviously, me and John did not win. Tony won. And we got a 3K to talk about. In the whole field, 71 players, and Psychic was not the most played deck for the first time in, I don't know, since Journey Together. Was Colorless the most played at Journey Together?
This was predicted by the one and only Tony Poke, who is never wrong. This was predicted.
Let's wait till we get to the prediction recap.
Sorry.
For
Continue, Ben.
Yeah, so Fighting and Psychic made up 66%. 2/3 of the meta was just Fighting and Psychic. 24 Fighting decks, 23 Psychic decks, and then the rest of the field. So in 66% of your games, you're going to pair into Psychic or Fighting. That's just how dominant the two types are right now. Psychic kind of beats Fighting kind of beats everything else, and sometimes beats Psychic, so it's also a good deck to play. I think in the top 16, like in the full standings as well, it was like only three decks in top 16 were not Psychic or Fighting. There was one Water, one Metal, and I think one Dragon. Yeah, if you're playing not Psychic or Fighting to a 3K, good luck to you.
You better be a beast.
Yeah, you better be a beast. You got to perform extremely well to get up there, and you're probably going to be the only one of your type up there. That's just how it is currently. We'll see as new sets come out, things change. But yeah, most played Fighting archetype, Barbiyama, with 11 represented. A large chunk of that was our Full Grip base. Though we did have quite a few RDTs as well. Dylan Ryan, Ben Peacock playing the RDT. Peacock also getting top 8. And then, the rest of the Fighting decks. And then Psychic, Blindside leading the charge with 9. And Deoxys right behind with 8 total decks. I would say, since I knew, obviously, that a lot of us at Full Grip are going to be playing Fighting, I think it was kind of expected to see Fighting jump up towards, more of an even, if not overtake, Psychic in the field in terms of percentage played, because, when in previous 3Ks, if a bunch of us chose to play Psychic, that would just have widened the gap. So we had some insider knowledge that Fighting was going to close the gap a bit.
No. You can't say we had insider knowledge, bro. You're going to... Just getting cut. You're adding fire to the flame, though.
They're going to clip just that. We had insider knowledge. The thing everyone's afraid of happening, the Full Grip crew getting insider knowledge about what's going to happen and what decks to play. But no, we just knew that we were playing Fighting, and we knew that it was probably a bad matchup into Psychic. So how smart are we actually? But yeah, so that was the field. No fire in the field. One lightning, finally. No lightning last time. There was one controlled lightning deck that did get, was it top 16? I think 23rd place, maybe.
It was, they were up there. Like
Yeah. So
if-
positive record for the one lightning deck in the field of fighting. So props to that player. I believe their name was Joseph. Don't quote me on that. Very bold, very bold. Any
Mhm.
other takeaways from the metagame here that we should mention?
I think
Anything surprising?
I think it's pretty. I think it's surprising that outside of fighting and psychic, colorless is the most present third type, rather than water or even I would say dragon, which seems like it's been gaining popularity the past couple of months.
Yeah, when you're thinking of a third type you're considering for an event like this, it's like you kind of think of water and like, well, if I can get a Wailord out, it might be pretty good into these top decks. But seeing colorless edge it out just a little bit there is interesting. We'll talk a little bit more later about what a couple of those colorless lists looked like, because they weren't exactly your typical attacking color list like we saw Tony playing, or some of the other styles of attacking colorless that we've talked about on the pod before. But yeah, that edging out water is pretty interesting to me.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, we're talking about the difference of one deck.
It's true, yeah. We're not talking about. It's not a tournament with like 1,000+ players, so yeah.
Right, but if you ask me, I would think like, yeah, water is probably third, doubling the next type that's like below it. Would be my guess.
It's crazy how little all of these other decks got.
Yeah.
24 fighting, 23 psychic. The next highest was 6 colorless. That's the
Yeah.
big gap that we're talking about. 5 water, 4 dark, 3 dragon, 3 metal, 2 grass, 1 lightning. And yeah, when you get to those small numbers, you can directly point to specific people, as to why some types were lower than others. For example, the Terraplume players, the grass players switched off of Terraplume. Some of them to colorless, some of them to psychic. So there was, I think, the good 3 or 4 colorless decks of the 6 were control. So that was a big factor. Lion Chen, who got top 8 at a previous 3K with colorless control, a finalist against Chucky Davis with colorless control. I believe this is their first 3K since then, so they're back on colorless control. They weren't playing colorless. They weren't here playing colorless at the previous 3K. So that contributed as well to colorless boosting its number. Just the fact that we had this accomplished player back playing it. But yeah, water is. I guess I could agree with the fact that water is surprisingly low, because I think, as we've talked about, like, if it gets set up, it has a pretty decent matchup into the top decks. Like Psychic has a hard time dealing with a Wailord. Barbiyama has a really hard time dealing with a Wailord if if you don't go ahead in the prize race pretty early. Obviously, I lost to Kevin Baxter on stream. My hand was terrible, and I had the horrible start. And Kevin turn 2 went 2 prizes on my Sudowoodo with Articuno. So I mean, obviously that factored into that matchup specifically, but he had a hot start. I did not, and there's nothing I could do to come back from that. Once the Wailord came up, it was pretty much lights out. I was like, I don't have my Hariyama was prized, and my board was not set up enough to be able to utilize any gusts in the first place. So I was like, I literally have to swing into this Wailord for not a knockout. And he was already 2 prizes up with the Articuno. So I was like, it's literally just game over. It was a really quick game. So that's the power level of water. But playing fighting or psychic is just that enticing to people. I think Kevin and Andrew were testing water, and Andrew got cold feet on playing water himself. Switched back to Barbiyama last minute. Kevin stuck with it, and it paid off, getting him a top 8. But that's just for reference. That's Andrew's next choice was the Hydro Pump deck. So yeah, maybe we'll see water go up and play in the future. Maybe
it does seem easily like the third best deck, if not contending for a spot above that. So it should definitely see more play than what it did here.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, the colorless players are brave for sure.
Definitely.
for how much
Yeah.
fighting's in the room.
Yeah.
But it does have a solid matchup into Psychic, I believe. So I heard a lot of the Psychic players saying that their losses were to the colorless control decks. So doing the Lord's work, knocking out a few of those Psychic players. Thank you.
I
to
needed a few
you.
more. I needed a few more.
Yes, yeah, just a couple more. My top 8 bracket was not friendly to me. I would have much rather have seen a colorless deck.
Right.
Yeah, that's the metagame breakdown from the 3K this past week. And obviously we played fighting. Is that what we have up next?
No, we got
Nope.
the top 8 predictions.
I'm wrong again. We've got the top 8 predictions, which you guys did with Carpenter while I was gone, and I texted you guys quick my predictions. So why don't you guys walk me through what we're looking at?
Yeah, we got our top 8 predictions here. I went ahead and predicted 4 Psychic decks, 3 Fighting decks, and a Grass deck as my top 8. And I believe that I got 2 wrong, right? Yeah, I missed the water.
Yeah.
And no, did I get 3 wrong?
No water, no metal.
No water, no metal. Yeah, no water,
Just
no metal. But I did predict the correct winner.
Correct. And John, how close were you?
Yeah, I only missed out on one of the types. I did have the water and the metal. I did not have enough psychics. I had that dragon in there in place of a psychic, so I only missed one. Did predict the champion wrong, but had 7 out of 8 total spots correct.
7 out of 8 is
That's impressive. That's really
that's
impressive.
honestly an impressive prediction.
Yeah,
I'm feeling-
the fact
feeling
that you had
good
the
about
water
that, yeah.
and the metal is so sick.
Dude, I don't know how you were able to you were able to predict that water wasn't going to make top cut twice in a row. That was crazy to me.
I know.
The water hate is crazy.
I
The
got
water had to be there, and then I was like, yeah, I it's not exactly like the metal. We'll talk about the metal list later, but it's not exactly the metal I thought was going to make top 8. But it was, it was a similar style of metal that made it in there. So
Listen, I'll say this: if I knew that the water that made top 8 would have been, if I knew Kevin Baxter was showing up and playing water, immediately would have thrown it in there.
Yes, for sure. I don't even talk about my predictions, bro.
It's all good, bro.
he was
Double
moving.
grass.
Ben was so checked out of the
There was
He was-
two
GLC
grass.
scene.
There was 2 grass in the field. Okay.
Yeah.
Shout out Michael Prieto.
So our prediction, I don't know how much you watched of the last episode. Our prediction was, okay, if Ben's thinking there's 2 grass, he's thinking one of the grass control players, and he's thinking he's the other one. was our guess.
Yeah, we were like,
That
is
No,
Ben
I
he's
just-
showing
gonna
up?
make it in there with
Does
grass.
he know something we
I
don't?
believed in Luna and Espio. Okay, shout out you two, and they both didn't play grass. All right, so that's their fault that my prediction went down the drain. All right, so I'll just leave it at that.
God,
So what was the wager?
So,
All right, so the winner picks the winningest player picks the losingest players one of their cards for a Thursday night league in their deck. Has to make some kind of sense. Be relevant to the deck. But yeah.
I think just playable. It doesn't have to be relevant. It just has to be playable. Like you can't
Has to be
pick Cherish Ball.
sure.
You can't pick Cherish Ball. You know
whoa!
what is happening over here,
I
bro?
don't know.
We're losing
Yeah,
it.
because I think it should be like you should be allowed to pick like a funny card.
Yeah,
It doesn't
that's,
have to be
that's
like-
the idea.
This will definitely help you.
Like you could, like the one that came to my mind was like if my deck is metal, someone could hand me like an Adaman or like a Peony or like something goofy like that. Like
I don't know, like a friend ball or something would be funny too. Like,
Yeah.
good luck if you play against a mirror match. There you go. You get a master ball in your deck.
Right. Yeah. So I'm definitely the losingest player, I think, by a wide margin. Carpenter was only 2 off as well. Yeah, he was only 2 off.
Yeah.
He has he has 1 extra water and dragon over metal and extra psychic. So I have 3 off because I have 2 grass and dragon. So I am
Alright.
your losingest player. And I personally think, John only had 1 wrong but didn't guess the champion. Tony had 2 wrong but did guess the champion. I personally think John won
I
based
also
on 7 out of
agree.
8 7 out of 8.
I
You gotta
can't
respect
argue
it.
with the 7 out of 8. That's
Yeah,
insane.
dude.
That's impressive.
That's crazy. I'll hopefully get it right next time. We need to drop the dragon, dude. We've been predicting dragon way too much in these top 8s.
Yeah. I predicted dragon the last 2 times, and where's my dragon players at? Come
I
on.
thought I was the dragon glazer. You guys are the glazers, I guess.
Yeah, we're always pushing Tony down on the dragon, and yet we have dragon in top 8.
Yeah.
Yeah, time to give up on the dragon. As soon as we give up on dragon, it's gonna get top 8.
We need Lee Hoffman, bro.
Sure.
He's too busy putting a Gardevoir in his deck.
Yeah, put the purple cards down, Lee. Get back to your roots.
Raging Bull, bro. Come on.
Come on. Yeah. No,
All
that's
right.
nice. So I look forward to John picking.
Yes.
Yeah, we'll make sure I'll have some live documenting on the scene when
I'll concoct the silliest card I can think of to hand Ben Thursday night before we start league.
silliest card.
Will not be there this week.
Oh,
Oh.
man.
You got to wait 2 weeks to figure out what it is, I
Yeah,
guess.
my family is flying into town. I'm having a housewarming party. My family's flying into town on Thursday night, so cannot attend league. So gonna have to wait. So it might be a while, but I'm looking forward to it. John has time to think about it. All right.
We're gonna need your pick, bro. We're gonna need you to lock in on what deck you're gonna play.
Yeah, we'll see. It might be a game day decision, but it'll probably be Diggersby. Oh yeah.
All right.
Moving on.
Here we go.
All right. Starting off in 3rd place, we have Ben Morse playing the fighting deck that we all sort of concocted together, or at least decided the last few cards of, between a few the night before the event. So Ben, why don't you take it away? Tell us about the deck a little bit and your run and how things went.
Yeah, no, feels great to get back up there, get a 3rd place, and just very happy with how it performed. And like I was kind of talking about in the past couple weeks, like not having a lot of time to prep for the 3K because of the move and stuff, and feeling personally like Psychic is the obvious choice to play. It's probably the strongest deck, and I think definitely beats the fighting deck. So I'd be crazy to play fighting, but it also requires a lot more practice, in my opinion. So I was like, fighting can win. You can high roll. And I honestly went into the 3K just feeling like, if I end up busting out again and not doing so hot, it's not, no skin off my back, I'm kind of like chill. And maybe that's the mindset that helps you play well, because you're like, I have nothing to lose right now. But it just, I don't know. I was just really happy with how the deck was going. Had a great start, going 3-0, then losing to Kevin, and finishing it off 6-1 in Swiss. First seed into Top Cut. Beat 3 Psychic decks in Swiss. So I was feeling good. The deck was running hot. Obviously, we played Barbiyama. The game plan into Psychic and every other deck is just go fast and either take a turn 1 knockout with Soul Rock or a turn 2 knockout with Okie Dokie. And then from there, just gust, turbo all your guys, recover Okie Dokie, run your opponent off the board with things like, Parallel City and Hariyama and what have you. So,
how many Psychics did you play in total?
I played 5 Psychics, 2 in top 8, 3 in Swiss, and games.
You beat all 3 in Swiss?
I beat all 3 in Swiss, yeah. My only loss was Kevin Water in Swiss.
I wish that was me, bro.
I'm the only person in the whole tournament that beat Wyatt. Wyatt, our champion.
That's true.
You got him in Swiss.
That's right. His only loss was to me. Round 2.
Wyatt in Swiss.
You know what's funny is I played at the last 3K, my round 2, I played against Winter, the champion of that event. And then this event, my round 2, I played against Wyatt, the champion of this event. So
okay, so you heard if you wanna win a GLC 3K, play Ben Morse in the second round. That's
in round 2 specifically.
Yes.
Yeah. That's how you win a 3K. So I'm looking forward to see who that is next. But yeah, so it obviously went better for me this time. I lost to Winter last time. I beat Wyatt this time. Just had to switch to fighting. And yeah, I mean, yeah, like I said, the deck, I have nothing, honestly don't have a lot to say about the deck. And I don't know if you guys do, but it literally is just shout out Andrew Mahone, for basically, finalizing the archetype and the way we were going to play it. We changed, like a couple cards cosmetically. We went from Field Blower to Lost Vacuum. We went from Luminous Energy to Prism Energy. And then outside of that, I think we went from U-turn board to Air Balloon. So like 3 cards there different from Andrew's 1K list that are almost functionally identical, just maybe what we thought were like slight optimizations. And then I think our only 2 different cards from there is -1 basic energy for Battle Compressor. And then what's our other card? There's like one more. Go back to the list. Retrieval over.
Is that the battle compressors for the energy?
Training court.
Yeah.
Yes.
And that's also another cosmetic one. So really, our only functional change was the energy for compressor. Otherwise, you have a lot of the same tools that Andrew had. So very solid list that Andrew basically kicked up all himself. That we and a lot of the Fulgur players are obviously really drawn to. We're just Andrew Mahone mindless drones who play whatever deck he says is good. So thank you, Andrew, for this third place dub.
Did you pay your Mahone tax?
Not yet. I owe Mahone a great deal. Maybe a couple hours community service in the Tricky Gym mines. Yeah, we'll see what the payment should be, but. How did we all? In my opinion, I picked the list because I had no practice with Psychic. I thought fighting would go fast and do well. Like, were you guys just feeling the same way, and that's why you also wanted to play fighting, or like what?
Yeah.
What caused you to play fighting over other types?
I just had played so between like grinding to get my badge at locals, and then also while I was doing that prepping for like the last 2-3Ks, I played Psychic too. I was just like tired of playing the deck as a whole. Like I was really high on the Natu deck, and I was about 50-50 on which deck I wanted to play for the tournament before the Thursday before when I won with Barbayama. But as I was playing the deck, I was like, yeah, like this is, I don't want to say easy, but like it's just. The games flow a lot more naturally, I guess. It's just like the ship is a lot smoother, and there's a lot less things that could go wrong. About the worst thing that could happen is you prize, it's in this order: prize a rock, prize Dogi, hit Psychic. Those are about the 3 things that could go the worst for you. Like in the whole tournament. Those are the only 3 things you got to worry about.
Yeah, for me it was like this list like pulls off what it wants to do. I think like more consistently than any other deck that you could have played in this tournament, like specifically even Psychic. Like I think it's just like it's so low to the ground, so early, so much early aggression. You can talk early with Soul Rock or Dogi, and also like I was playing some Psychic and like considering Psychic, but for me too, it was like once honestly when we started talking about it before and like we got in that call like the night before, it was like, okay, we have a list that like can do this like really efficiently, and we think like it's going to be successful in most games. And like you kind of get that team mentality when we're cooking those, even though it was just like only a few cards, like we were like working together for it. And so honestly, like kind of what's a little bit I found is a little bit more important to me than like picking what I necessarily think is like the absolute best deck, is like working with a team to like put a list together and like decide those cards. And then it's like, okay, our team like put this deck into place. So like as you can see in the slide here, like it was us 3 and then 4 we had Ashton join us, 2 on this list, the exact same 60. And so it was like kind of like putting forth our best foot, like as a team, deciding what these cards were in this deck, kind of really drew me to want to play this list over something like Psychic. And I think like 4 of us playing a list that operates so efficiently, like so consistently, so many, like, you know, can do it so many games in a row without like prizing like super important things, is like someone's bound to do well and succeed with it. And, you know, in my opinion, a lot of us did well and succeeded with it, even though we didn't, you know, Ben was the only one to make it into Top Cut. So, you know, that's sort of really what the mentality that drew me to playing fighting.
Going into the last round of Swiss, all 4 of us were still in. We all 4 could have made Top Cut.
Yeah.
Now that didn't unfortunately happen, as John and Ben paired and got the stream game, and me and Ashton paired. So there was a little bit of friendly fire, a little bit of team killing that had to happen. But the fact that all 4 of us like came to the conclusion, like we all, you know, a lot of our changes were cosmetic, but you know they're for a reason, and that like those things matter, you know, more than you would think about. So
Yeah, so go back to the list. Why don't we just say the reasons for making those changes from Andrew's list? So starting off like with retrieval and training court, that was one of the first ones we decided on. And
like we were like talking to Andrew a little bit about the list, and I think he put it the best, and he was like, training court is so good for the psychic deck that like they could, like, that could be the 60th card in their deck. Like you'll see some of the Natu lists that actually play that card, so you cannot just put that card into play and actively help them.
Yeah, when 66% of the meta is fighting and psychic, those are all decks that would love to see their opponent put down a training court because of how much it helps. So I was just like, if that's 2/3 of my matchups, like there's no way I want to give them this help, you know, no matter even if it helps me. So I think retrieval in that slot obviously won't stick in play and get continued usage, but it kind of makes I think the burst turn is also, and being able to get 2 in one turn might be a little better in Barbariama, to be honest. You know, not even to mention the fact that you're not helping your opponent, but to be able to get 2 for both a draw and an attach from Barbarical, rather than Training Court just getting you 1 for either and then having to find a second one on the same turn, you know? So it's like that extra buff there, plus denying your opponent those resources, obviously really good. So that was the decision there.
At its lowest value, it's like +6, +5, I guess. Like it could lunar cycles twice. Like that's
right.
So even if you're not attaching the energy.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And you know, the next cosmetic change, U-turn void to air balloon. What was it there?
That was so U-turn board was like originally or I don't want to specifically say U-turn board, but the pivot is super important in this deck because the whole, you know, after you're done going aggro with Soul Rock, you have to, you know, loop Dogi probably 2 or 3 times the rest of the game to win. So having a pivot in order to do that is super duper important. But having U-turn board as that pivot, it's so good on the rocks. But this deck has a couple of really horrible starters, with the Sudowoodo and the Terrakion and Makuhita Binnacle. Pretty much everything that's not a rock or Okidogi.
Half of your starters have 2 retreat.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And we just think like when Psychic's such a big percentage of the meta, and your like sole way to win with Psychic or to boost your win percentage into Psychic is to just start taking prizes as soon as possible. Like you do not want to get caught whiffing a turn 1 knockout with Soul Rock because you have a 2 retreat guy in the active and you don't have air balloon, you know, or floatstone's prized or something, and your only option is U-turn board. So like, even though you can, you know, technically lose all your pivots at some point to a field blower if you put them both into play because you're not playing U-turn board, like the upside of taking turn 1 knockouts into Psychic was just like too important. And that definitely happened to me during the course of the tournament. Like I definitely had at least one, maybe multiple, you know, I don't remember completely, where was it because Floatstone was prized, and had U-turn board been there over Air Balloon, I would have had to take another turn before, taking a knockout.
Mhm.
So that's the difference maker between winning and losing in this deck. And someone was joking about it on on Discord earlier about how this Barbiyama is pretty sauceless. Like, there's no multi-prize comeback potential or anything like that. It literally is just true, honestly, like, go fast, outrun your opponent, and hope the reset stamp in parallel is enough to disrupt if needed. So that's like the whole strategy there. So you have to rely on going fast consistently. And so, yeah, Air Balloon, I think, was a solid swap there. Then we've got, what else?
Yeah, going off the tools, the tool removal difference we had in the Lost Vacuum over the Field Blower.
Mhm.
So oftentimes you're only really needing to get rid of one thing with Field Blower, and specifically into like the psychic decks that are usually only playing a Lost Vacuum, or not a Lost Vacuum, a U-turn board as their retreat tool. And also needing that pivot to be able to, charge up an attacker on the bench with their energy accelerators that require something to be on the bench. Being able to, not Field Blower it and put it back to hand, but actually remove a U-turn board, from the game entirely. If you do that early, you can really stifle those decks. Having that pivot, not being able to use Mew every turn. Sometimes I ran into one of my fighting mirrors. It was the Floatstone was already gone, and it was just a U-turn on a Soul Rock. And if this deck, again, the importance of the retreat tools, loses its pivot, it can get really hard to recover the Dogi, recover the attacker to be able to attack with it again. You have to have like that next attacker on board. So being able to Lost Vacuum and entirely get rid of a retreat tool can really stifle a deck if you do it at the right time. There were two matches that could have come up really important for me specifically in a psychic match and that fighting mirror. Unfortunately, wasn't able to pull it off on like the turn that I needed to do it. But like the idea is there, and I think it's still like a sound inclusion in the list over something like a Field Blower. And again with the with not putting in the training court, and so we have the parallel, but we only have 2 bumps to parallel outside of, because we didn't have like that 4th stadium. So we toyed with the idea of like not playing any kind of tool or stadium removal. But when you're only playing the 3 stadiums and one of them is the parallel city, you kind of have to play some sort of removal there. So that's where the Lost Vacuum's coming in clutch.
Yeah, I was really liking the idea of not having to play any removal. And like Tony kind of mentioned, Andrew ended up not playing any. But yeah, those scenarios where we're like, if you go Brooklet or Tropical Beach early, which you usually do, you want to find one of those early, then your opponent parallels, then you only have one out to bump parallel because you've already used one of your other stadiums. So we were just like, yeah, that's pretty risky. Like, this deck thrives on having like a full bench of 2 rocks, at least Barbarical, and then your attacker. So that's already, 4 Pokemon. And, to thrive even further, you want the Hariyama and you want your second attacker. So
maybe
that's like the whole thing.
Maybe a little unlike other like RDT style fighting decks. Like our fighting deck is definitely a little bit weaker to parallel than something like the RDT, just because we have more setup guys. Maybe not more setup guys, but like the Barbarical is like a permanent bench sitter. Like, you need to be able to loop Dogi. And the Hariyama, the Makuhita is gonna always be on the bench, and then if you do need to loop the attacker, like, you're gonna want to bench Sudowoodo or Tracheon preemptively. So our deck definitely, along with the rocks, of course, so our deck is definitely a little bit weaker than your average fighting deck to parallel itself.
For sure. So yeah, that was the idea there. Like John said, a quick disruption element, specifically, mainly into Psychic. They're playing the one U-turn board. The Lost Vacuum can help. And something that the other guys can tell you that I kept bringing up in our long call was Egg Mill and Terraplume. I kept bringing it up because I believed in them. I was like, listen, like, we've talked about these cards, but without this card, your win percentage against Terraplume goes way down, So I was like, I kept throwing that out there throughout our call. Yeah. And I think Lost Vacuum helps into that matchup as well, because Terraplume started playing Silent Lab, and they're going to get it back, and that basically destroys your game plan. So it's like if you have vacuum to potentially get rid of that, and you also need kind of a tool removal. Maybe if you don't have to get rid of Silent Lab, you might have to get rid of the Lux Cape. Just like some of these options that I was thinking like are also good into Terraplume, because I was like, if you're gonna win this tournament, you have to beat Terraplume. And no one was playing it except Michael. So yeah, that was something I was thinking about a lot.
Yeah.
And then we've got the Luminous over the Prism, which Ashton was a big proponent of.
The idea behind that one is that so Andrew played Luminous, and that was in his list, and it was also on the list that I won the badge with. And the idea is that you just want the potential downside of the special energy to always interfere with your Hariyama over the Okidogi, just because the Okidogi is the main attacker of the deck, with Luminous not being able to count as the darkness energy if there's another special energy attached. And then Prism, of course, only works for basic Pokemon. So you would rather just always have that downside affect the Hariyama, just because that's more of a niche attacker in the match, or in your game plan.
Absolutely agreed. There's 5 specials in the deck, so nearly half your energy, special energy, and I think it made a lot of sense. And Ashton can tell you he did a mirror match into Jack Martin, who did play Andrew's list with the Luminous. And Ashton said it came up. Jack had to skip an attack one turn because he had the Luminous on Dogi, and it wasn't a Prism energy. So justified. It's one of those things that it's like, we can make this change. It probably won't come up. And then it happened to.
I would argue this is probably the most minuscule of the cosmetic changes that we made, because like Andrew almost had me back on the Luminous too for a minute, because he was like, well, off of your special energy search, your Goose Hala or your Chorus, like you just grab the Luminous first, so it's like not a problem, and like you just put it on the Dogi and like whatever.
Yeah, but you also just grab the Prism first.
True, exactly. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. Like it's so minute. Like it truly most of the time doesn't matter. But it's like if you run into that situation, like Tony said, you'd rather have the problem be on the Hariyama, not your Dogi.
It's like, what if there's just like so many niche scenarios. It's like, okay, if I'm Colressing or Goose Hauling for the, like, especially if I'm Colressing for the Luminous first, and then let's say my next support is a draw supporter. I have to Iono, and then I draw into another special and no basics. It's like, it's just like that first energy is always going to the Okidogi, so just make sure that it works the most amount of time.
Yeah.
Agreed. Was that all of the 4 cards?
That was those were all the cosmetic ones, and then we had like the true.
Then it was the 60th card debate.
Boom.
All right. And the 60th card and Andrew's list, 8th basic energy. 13 energy total when you count the specials. And Ashton, rightfully, or, maybe we were still wrong. Who knows? John might have a different perspective, but Ashton going 13 energy is just an insane amount of energy to have, which is true. Like, okay, because like when you lay it out, it's like, no other GLC deck is playing 13 energy. And like you have 1 energy attacker guys and 2 energy attacker guys. It's not like you're powering up a Whale Lord. And Whale Lord doesn't even play 13 energy, okay? Whale Lord plays 9 and has Nessa and Superior Energy Retrieval and Versus Seeker. And like that's it. But like we have 13 and we have Tarragon, we have Clara, we have Versus Seeker, and we have Energy Retrieval. And so just like tons of ways to get energy back, plus it being a high count of 13. But at the same time, you want to see so many energy because it's your energy is your draw engine, and energy is your acceleration engine, and you want to be able to do like all these things. I kept saying you basically want to see 3 energy a turn with this deck. 1 to discard, 1 to attach with Barbarical, and then 1 to attach for turn.
Yeah. You gotta be able to try to do that every single turn after like the first turn of the game. So
exactly. So having a ton of energy is good, and I would say 8 energy would not be wrong to play. But it's also like so many where it's like, can we devote 1 card to something different, to have a little flexibility there. and we didn't end up switching off of it. Final decision was Battle Compressor, but we argued for a long time about what that final card was.
I think I've got all these cards on the slide here. The basic fighting, red card, Hex, Battle Compressor, Rescue Star, Weakness Policy, Focus Sash, for the listeners who can't see the slide. But I think the real argument was down to 8th basic, Hex, and Battle Compressor. I think those were the three that we were like really going back, and that's where the bulk of the conversation took place, was those three cards.
Yeah, I came into the conversation going like, because the one thing I had been thinking about leading up to 3K, like I wasn't testing it all, but the one thing I was thinking of with the Barbarical list was how good, just the 3K in general, was how good Hex Maniac is into other Barbarical lists and into Psychic, and just thinking like, yeah, I'm probably not going to be able to play Hex every game reliably, but there's going to be times where I really feel like it would help a lot. And one of those times that I would mention again was against Terraplume, of course. Being able to use items on a turn Vileplume is up is incredibly valuable. So I was just like, one of my main arguments was like, I feel like your win percentage is cut in half against Terraplume if you're not playing Hex Maniac.
Little did you know you were really just gunning to beat Michael Prieto.
That's right. So I was targeting Michael so hard.
You are right though. Like if you don't play like a lot of the games you play against Terraplume are just like waiting until you draw like the absolute perfect combination of cards, and Hex is always in the combination. So it's like
Yeah, so I was arguing a ton for Hex. All right. John wanted the 8th energy. He was, I think, the biggest proponent of 8th energy. Ashton was arguing for like 4 cards different, but Ashton had sleeved up, I think, red card and Battle Compressor.
He was big on red card and Focus Sash. Those
red card and Focus Sash. Yeah. All those cards on the right barely considered. Focus Sash
the most out of the 3, but I was big on like Battle Compressor and either Rescue Star for Weakness Policy. I wanted one of those cards. And spoiler alert, Weakness Policy would have been absolutely fantastic for me throughout the course of Sunday.
Would it though? Like, because they could just counter it. I don't know.
They could, but it's just like a card that I would not. I played against 4 Psychic decks out of 7 rounds, so it was like would have been nice to have in the deck.
To be fair, if there's just one time it sticks, it might swing a little bit.
Absolutely is true. It's John, I think you told me you played against a fighting player who had Weakness Policy in their deck, right?
Yeah. Shout out Lisa. I played round 2, who was playing an RDT that had the Weakness Policy in it.
Yeah.
Which I thought was, I was like, oh, we were thinking about that card. That's cool.
So it's just like such like minuscule things like into the Psychic matchup, because something that we discovered with the matchup is like whoever's losing, it feels like you're absolutely getting slapped around.
Yeah.
Like it feels like the game's not even close. So any little thing that you could do to try to gain an advantage like matters so much. So if like maybe it could have been Weakness Policy, but like I didn't have the guts to put it in my deck because it is only a usable card against one singular deck in the room.
Yeah.
So.
And ultimately, I think I'm in the camp that the 2 most correct cards are Fighting and Battle Compressor, like the 8th energy and Battle Compressor.
Yeah.
Because how we ended the conversation was Ashton had a great point of like, I was like hard Hex Maniac and Ashton, and at one point I was even team red card just because early disruption against other fighting and Psychic can be really valuable, and we only have reset stamp for late game. But Ashton had a great point. He just said, all right, like forget everything else, like between Battle Compressor, red card, and Hex Maniac, what would you be like happiest to see in your opening hand? And I was like, for sure Battle Compressor of those 3, like because it's going to help me. The red card and the Hex Maniac are more niche use cases that when they come up will be incredibly strong, but they're not going to come up every game. and they're not going to even when you do play them, they're not going to reliably necessarily like swing the game in your favor.
Yeah.
So over the course of a long tournament, in my opening hand, I decided like that's why I'm saying like 8th basic energy is probably the second best choice, because seeing an energy in your opening hand or seeing battle compressor when you have retrieval, Clara, Tarragon, Night Stretcher possibly in your hand as well, battle compressor is just I'd be more than happy to see it. It discards the battle VIP pass or heavy ball when you don't need them. Discards like ultra ball when you already have all your evolutions in play. Lots of things that it can do. Thin out your deck. Help with disruption going into you. Because you've thinned out all these cards that you don't want to draw into. And like I said, getting that burst potential of maybe an unlucky hand turning into a great hand when you have Tarragon as your only supporter turn 1, right? So, I mean, that's how I was convinced that Battle Compressor was the right choice. But yeah, John, I mean, you were saying differently. What was your perspective there?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think the Battle Compressor was like too much worse. Obviously, I played it and I was on the same list as you guys, but my idea is like, yes, Battle Compressor is good if one of those recovery cards are the only things in your hand, but it's like, okay, so you're playing a card that's like, you're like, well, if I only have this supporter card and I also have this other card that I put in my deck, then it'll be a good combo.
Yeah.
But it's also like good to like just thin out the VIP past the, whatever stuff that you don't need in your deck like later if you didn't hit it there. So like it's not bad, but I'm just like, man, I just like love to see that 8th energy. I think like to point out like what I feel like Ben is like saying is like this deck, and like the theme of this deck is like my deck is going to run better than your deck is going to, and like cards like the Hex, the Focus Sash, the Weakness Policy, like the reactionary, the situational cards aren't going to do that, whereas the Battle Compressor, the Energy, maybe even the red card to stifle your opponent, like it does like just like get you into the game to be able to play the game. It gets you to the points where you're like, man, I wish I had red Hex Maniac, but thank God I had that Battle Compressor turn 1, or else I wouldn't even be playing this game.
Yeah.
Is really just like the kind of where we ended 2 hours, 48 minutes, and 8 seconds later after this call started, which was, I think, the correct decision.
I think my biggest argument for the Battle Compressor was like, it's like, out of the cards we were considering, it's maybe the only card other than like Weakness Policy, I guess. Battle Compressor makes other cards in your deck just better. Like it just it makes your openings potentially better. It makes your mid game potentially better, and it makes your late game potentially better by thinning out cards. Like it just seemed like the obvious choice from my perspective. Even though it's like hard going into an event like not playing Hex in your deck, but something that you have to like really think about, take time to think about, is like our main attacker has an ability that makes him so good, so like our deck just can't really Hex that well. Like the circumstances have to be absolutely perfect for you to be able to pull off like your Hex turn. Like you can't be attacking with Dogi. You have to have the Hex in your hand in the first place and not have to play something like Tarragon to set up another attacker. And it just seemed like too much of like a luxury card to me.
I ultimately came around to that, but I do think, like, obviously you can't play it when you're attacking with Dogi or a turn you like need to use Barbarical, but I do think it has more use cases than you give it credit for, and I would be interested in trying it.
I think so too. Here's the question: if there was no input from the other 3 of us that worked on the deck, which would be your 60th card if you had to replay the tournament?
I mean, if I didn't talk to you guys at all that night, I would have put Hex in. For sure. Just because like I wouldn't have spent more than 2 minutes thinking about it, because I would have just been like, yeah, I'll play Hex and go to bed,
I think mine would have been Battle Compressor still.
Yeah, I would have been on the 8th energy for sure.
Ashen would have been on red card. So
yeah, there we go. That the whole stack of 4 on the left there.
Yeah.
Would have been our different cards.
Interestingly enough, Andrew did play red card.
Yeah, that was a change.
He came up. We didn't talk to him at all about what changes we made or what changes he was making, but we talked to him the next day, and he's like, "Oh yeah, I put red card in," and we were like, "Oh my gosh, like we were right there. I think it obviously didn't work out too well for him, but I don't think that was red card's fault.
Definitely not.
He had rough two first rounds, but yeah, I mean, obviously we spent a long time talking about the deck itself because I feel like that was I don't know. I thought that was an interesting little inside look on where we ended up with the fighting deck, and we want that burst potential. Like we're like, okay, like obviously we hate playing psychic because if they get set up and get moving when we don't have more than 2 prizes ahead, we're probably losing. So let's just go as fast as possible, forget everything else, and just do our best. And hopefully we'll win some games. And obviously, I'm a living testament to that. But it did end up catching up to me in the top 4 against Wyatt, who ended up taking the whole tournament. Congrats, Wyatt, first place with the not too blind side. And the seeding rule in top 8, I ended up being first seed because I had to play against John in round 7. Otherwise, I would have ID'd to guarantee cut. But yeah, I was first seed, so that means any top 8 match I played, I got to choose the first game coin flip, and I was like, well, if I'm gonna do well in top 8 against all these psychic decks, this is the way to do it. So I told John, I was like, maybe this is maybe a silver lining, but you falling means I have a better chance to to actually win the tournament.
It was unfortunately like the best possible scenario for one of us to have the deepest run. So
for sure. But yeah, ended up beating Chase in top 8, the psychic deck. Shout out Chase. Very close match, and yeah, if I had lost the coin flip, he probably would have beat me. So happy that it ended up going that way. But Wyatt, I had got to game 3 with Wyatt, and my draws were just not there, and pretty quickly it got away from me, and I owned myself to 4 and found 3 energy without rocks in play. So I was like, okay. And he just kind of stomped me after that, and ended up taking down Brooke in the final. We're gonna go quickly through some of the top 8 lists, show them off to you guys. This obviously Wyatt's list here. Kind of what we've come to expect from Not Too Blindside post Dimension Valley ban. Very similar to Winter's winning list, just without D Valley. What's like the card that's added after D Valley was banned in this list? Cynthia Caitlin?
That's what I was just gonna say. I think it's the
Sinlin.
Sinlin. You got the whole tag call package in there now instead of just the Goose Holla, because that was I think Winter's winning list just had like Goose Holla and tag call in it.
Did Winter play energy retrieval?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
I believe it might be 59 of 60.
It's very similar. It
could just be the Gallade too. The Gallade's changed for the Guardy.
No, yeah.
Winter that's right. Never mind.
Yeah.
Oh,
so
Clara.
I think it's the same. No, Winter played Clara.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's just the one. The one dark.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Winter played Clara. Maybe that's a change, but again, functionally,
it looks like
Winter
59.
played, yeah, Winter played the one dark. Maybe Mystery Energy, but I think Winter might have played that too. Forgive me, Wyatt, if there's much more differences besides that, but I mean, obviously a solid list. Boosted consistency with Sin Caitlin. Love to see Tropical Beach in there again. Just a very powerful card. Can't go wrong with this right now. I mean, you kind of just like we were talking about, you kind of have to decide between this or maybe a Deoxys build, or if you want to be really bold, start cutting that Monkey Dory. We'll see where that takes us. But
one of our S tier decks going into the tournament, still one of our S tier decks after the tournament. This is classic.
Is this the first? This is of all the large events at Full Grip. This is the first back-to-back archetype win.
I believe
maybe the first multiple win for any archetype. Has any archetype ever 1, 2, 3Ks besides this? I don't believe so.
I don't think so.
This is the first.
Yeah, so that is including a band card as well in between them. So,
Mm-hmm.
Psychic is still Psychic and dominating, and it could have gone to a different archetype slightly with the Deoxys if Brooke had ended up taking it in game 3. Incredibly long final. I had lost in top 4. Okay, so I lost in top 4, right? So final starts right after top 4. I lost in top 4. I went out to my car. I recorded my vlog outro for 5 minutes. I talked on the phone to my wife for 15 minutes. I drove home. I went out of my way to get Chipotle. My house is an hour away from Full Grip. And then I sit down with Chipotle after all that and still watched 20 minutes of finals.
As Natalie likes to say, GLC players love using that 70 minutes or whatever it is.
Yeah, so it was definitely a grinder of a series, and Brooke with the Deoxys, the Psy Spear Deoxys, amazing Raikou in Spirit, 120 to the active plus 120 to the bench if you have 2 extra energy for 5 energy total. Nothing cheating that energy either outside of counter energy, because Brooke is not playing the Gardevoir that doubles energy, just the Gallade, and is saying, yeah, I'm going to get 5 energy on this Deoxys over time. It's not the main focus of the deck, like we'll see with Lee Hoffman's deck, where you want to like turbo out the Deoxys. This is, like Tony was saying earlier, more of like a attack with Boulder, passively attached to Deoxys, and get in there when you can. No Silent Lab or anything to shut off bench barrier, just relying on that Hex if there is like a Mr. Mime out there. But yeah, ended up biting Brooke in the butt because Brooke attacked with Deoxys for just 3 energy into one of Wyatt's Pokemon in the final, and Wyatt responded with a 4 energy Mimikyu to even do the bonus 120 to the bench that Brooke could not.
That is like a big part of considering Deoxys going forward, is the fact that in the mirror match you always have to consider, like, even if you're not playing against a Deoxys deck, you still got to bench Mr. Mime because Mimikyu can copy for 4 energy. So
yep.
And like it knocks out the Deoxys itself. So
is Deoxys not 130?
No, Deoxys is 120.
It's 120.
It's little things like that
that
make me think that that creatures they're following along GLC a little bit. They're considering what to print just a tiny bit.
Potentially. But yeah, I mean, coolest here as well with the Deoxys, with those blindside Natu pieces, that timepiece, like Mysterious Timepiece and the blindside that were cut, making room. Brooke has space for Mystery Garden, another stamp. Consistency stadium, has Tropical Beach and Mystery Garden, so getting a lot of use out of those stadiums for draw, which I like to see. And then outside of that, we've got the Reset Stamp, which is, just one of the best cards, like, at all right now, So, obviously found great success in our Barbayama deck, and, probably was able, I would say, Brooke was probably able to play, I mean, maybe we should ask, but my hunch is Reset Stamp saw much more useful play than Blindside did in Wyatt's deck, though obviously the power level of Blindside is probably stronger.
Yeah.
In a vacuum, but Reset Stamp Gallade wins games.
Yeah,
it's true. Moving on here, we already went over Ben's 3rd place list. We got 4th place here, Colin Calvert, playing good old-fashioned RDT. So yeah, a lot of, I believe on the meta, the most popular fighting deck was Barbayama, correct? By like 1 or 2?
Yeah. I think by 2.
Yeah, by 2. So interesting look at how many players would rather play, the new Barbayama deck that Andrew won the 1K with versus just good old-fashioned proven RDT.
One thing I noticed is it's got, I mean, compared to previous RDT lists. Got room for compressor and enhanced hammer. No reset stamp, no HP tools. I think that's like some of the main differences between past RDT lists. But same Pokemon lineup, not even fitting a Hariyama in there or anything. Just Lucario, Okidogi, and then Tinglu, Marshadow, or Saluna. And I don't know about you guys, but like I got my fighting badge recently with an RDT Hariyama build because I feel like RDT is really good into the full grip meta right now. But I went Barbiyama for the 3K because I was incredibly doubtful of how good RDT was into Psychic. You know, it's like they're all playing Monkey Dory, they're all playing Bench Barrier. I was like, how much value can you actually get from the Tinglu, Marshadow stuff into Psychic? So I was kind of, I obviously didn't do any testing of RDT into Psychic myself to figure that out. But that was why I strayed away. Did anyone? Obviously, Peacock did well, and Dylan was, up there
Dylan was on a
with their
heater for a
RDT
minute.
build. Yeah. Did you talk to them much about why they chose RDT over something like Barbiyama?
I just know that, as a Dylan follower like I am, I think that was just his deck choice for the tournament. Like, he thinks that there's a lot more space to like get creative in your game plan playing RDT, just because you have like the spread option as well as you also just have Okidogi, just like our deck. So I think he likes that, you have like this multifaceted plan that you could go one way or the other way at any point.
For sure. And we also know that Dylan loves to play his own builds. That's like his number one thing is he's going to build the deck he plays every time.
All right,
congrats to Calvin for placing well with the RDT. But yeah, John.
Yeah, next up, we got Kevin Baxter, 5th place on a Hydro Pump deck. We finally got water back in the top 8. Congrats to Kevin. Yeah, we mentioned he was testing with Andrew beforehand, and he landed on water, and Andrew did not commit to the water deck. But it's water. We've said it over and over again. It's Hydro Pump, just really tried and true. Good deck if you can get it set up. It can do incredible things. The whale is big. The Kyogre snipes, and this one having the Articuno in there that we've mentioned a couple times already, that can take multiple prizes. So with that tri-edge attack, does 20 base but can flip some coins to do more damage, but really trying to target down like things like the Natu there with the muscle band in the list, so you can do 40 damage to like take out some little guys, or even maybe like clean up something you happen to miss a knockout with previously. Things of note that stick out to me that are a little different is, well, we have the timer ball that we don't always see in Hydro Pump lists. We don't have the ball guy to search it out with. So this list relying a bit more on its draw supporters, kind of praying you don't prize that Irida, because that first Drizzile with this deck is usually for ball guy or for Irida. So use it really relying on the Irida because you don't have the ball guy to get set up there with this list.
For sure, there's a lot of draw in here. We got Lily, we got Tane Liza, Marnie, Research, Iono, and Octillery. Lots of draw, lots of draw there. No ball guy, lots of balls though. Is a little surprising, but there's quite a few other creative decisions made here, even outside the Articuno. No Basculin or Vulpix, which is, I think, very rare to see.
That's insane. Honestly. I didn't even realize that off first glance.
Yeah, I didn't.
I think they were just like, if you're gonna, almost like our theory with the fighting deck, it's like if you don't, if you need your game plan to go right for you to win games. So I think them saying like Basculin is just such an easy prize for a lot of people. It also clogs a bench in water. It's like my optimal board state does not include a Basculin. So let's just remove that. Play something like Capture Energy, which is incredibly surprising. Tropical Beach as well, so you can end your turn with that instead of a Gather the Crew. And let's just let's just draw cards and bench who we want to bench. Have room for Manaphy, and obviously get the Whale Lord, Kyogre, Wishy-Washy going. So some creative choices there from Kevin and Andrew. But the use, no blindside to use with the Articuno, just relying on the coin flip attack. And talking with both Kevin and Andrew, they were like, everyone has small guys. There's pretty much always a Mew on board in Psychic, if not an unevolved, Ralts or Natu, which require just a single coin flip to take the knockout. Maybe not the Ralts with the 70 HP, but the Mew specifically, you only need to hit heads on one of your 3 to take 2 prizes. And that can be the difference maker between, winning and losing a game, as being able to jump ahead in the prizes. And then against fighting, they found out Sudowoodo was weak to water. And if they're expecting a lot of Barbiyama in the field that are playing Sudowoodo, that only requires 1 coin flip as well. So, and I learned the hard way. It was funny. I sat down from Kevin. I started my Sudowoodo. He had an incredible turn 1. He had Capture Energy and Beach and Irida. Capture Energy, Beach, Irida in his opening hand. All right, so let's just start there. I went first. I attached to my Sudowoodo because my hand was so bad. And I was like praying that he used Gather the Crew so that I could get my rocks out with Sudowoodo. That was my strategy. But much to my dismay, that energy went unused because he went Capture Energy, Irida, Beach, benched out. Turn 2 versus Seeker, Irida, Rare Candy back to Caliber. Puts 3 on Articuno, and I was like, okay, he's gonna try and double heads flip me to take 2 prizes. And he kind of smirks at me. I was like, me and Andrew found out last night Sudowoodo's weak to water. And I pick up my Sudowoodo and I'm like, oh crap. Like
absolutely unbelievable.
Yeah, worst case scenario just happened. And I was like, yeah, this game's over, turn 2. I was like, that was the most embarrassing stream match of my life. I had absolutely no chance.
That's so funny, but it's so lore accurate as well. You use the watering can in the games to get the Sudowoodo to move. Of course he's weak to water.
Yeah. Crazy. He is a rock type, not a grass type. But yeah, so Kevin cooked me with the Articuno. But yeah, all those creative choices he made just were used to demolish me. And then, of course, get himself into top 8. We see the big catch net.
Yeah, that's
card.
what I was going to say.
Yeah, another new card.
Also, Viridian Forest is interesting.
For sure.
That's
yeah, what's the other stadium people usually play?
Like
Artisan?
Swell.
Artisan,
I think Swell gets in there. Sometimes Silent Lab, I think.
Silent Lab would be good.
Yeah.
I think, so that's another decision where it's like, okay, I can play the Disruption card that's really good into a lot of other decks, or I can play the card that's going to get me into the game. So similar philosophy to us doing Battle Compressor. We see Kevin picking the Viridian Forest, being like, am I going to be happier to see Silent Lab in my opening hand or see Viridian Forest? And I think more often than not, he's right. You're going to want to see Viridian Forest. Thin a card out for Octillery, get an extra energy from your deck. You have Vessel. You don't have Vessel.
Just bucket.
No, it's instead of it's letter and the bucket. But I'm thinking beyond the opening turn with this Viridian Forest. You have, instead of, I think do Hydro Pump usually play just a regular energy retrieval, or sometimes play a regular energy retrieval?
They do, but I figured that was the big catch net spot.
Right, but it makes sense with the Viridian Forest because you can use the big catch net and then like pull one of those energies out of the deck. So like you're putting more energies and it's better recovery. Like we talked about when the big catch net came out, we mentioned like, well, probably won't see in Hydro Pump list because they like the energy to come straight back to hand. This is letting you get more energy and Pokemon and putting them into the deck. But if you got that Viridian Forest, you can use it to like pull one of those energies out too. So it's just an interesting kind of change up of like 2 or 3 cards there. Allows a little bit more versatility.
And similar to Andrew's fighting philosophy, no tool or stadium room, no field blower, no lost vacuum here. Just saying you don't need it. And
Mhm.
to be fair, if there's one deck that doesn't need it, it's probably Whale Lord that can hit over any HP tool. Though getting rid of Parallel is incredibly important, of course. But you don't play Parallel yourself, so all 3 of your stadiums are outs.
Yeah.
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 Cool.
Cool Hydro Pump list from Kevin there. I'd be interested. If I was going to pick up Hydro Pump right now, I'd definitely want to try that out. It seems really good, strong into the meta.
Yeah.
Moving on, we got Benjamin Peacock here in 6th place. We were talking a little bit about Dylan's deck choice earlier. Benjamin Peacock also played the same exact 60, so very similar to an RDT style deck. But Dylan and Ben have opted to play the Hariyama line to go along with it. I think the Hariyama line also just synergizes with the strategy that you're trying to do with the Ting-Lu. Softening stuff up, and it makes like your Marshadow turn a lot easier. You can bring up whatever you want, and it doesn't have to be for your supportive return. As well as just Hariyama being like a decent attacker, and you're out other than Lucario into like the Archaludon metal style decks. So I think like there's plenty of upside with the Hariyama.
Obviously worked out well. That was another team kill. Ben and Dylan were both at 4-0 when they paired into each other. And if you go 5-0, you're pretty much guaranteed to cut. So that was like an unfortunate like win-in situation for Dylan and Peacock, where they had to play against each other. And they could have ID. If you go 5-0, you get the chance to ID, of course. And in the past, I've seen like the Turbo Blaze players ID as early as like round 2, because they don't want a team kill even early. But Ben and Dylan decided to just play it out, because even if they ID, there's a chance they still both miscut, and in some world where they ended up losing the those last rounds, unfortunately. So they're like, we're just going to play it out, not risk anything. We're going to get one of us into cut. And Ben Peacock ended up taking it. Yep. So congrats to Ben. Another Dweesh concoction into top 8.
With results.
Yeah.
Card of the list here, I want to shout out Canceling Cologne.
It's so sick.
Super interesting. And I got the scoop from Dylan himself. It's actually the better Mirror Tech card. Well, not just Mirror Tech. It's more versatile with the Hariyama, because usually that slot would be Enhanced Hammer, which is pretty much only really good into the mirror. But with Hariyama plus Canceling Cologne, you can gust things up like Mr. Mime, and allows you to have another extra Ting-Lu turn to spread everywhere.
That's kind of genius. That is kind of genius.
The mind of Dweesh keeps giving.
The mind of Dweesh has Silent Lab, Hex, and Canceling Cologne. I like that. Like I was saying, like I doubted RDT into the field of Psychic, but if I was to play RDT, I would want all those options to, to avoid the spread damage coming back onto my side. So, unfortunate that we don't know. I don't have like omnipotent knowledge of everyone's matchups and how everyone's game went to like confidently tell you like for sure like those things came up into his Psychic matches. But it would be cool to hear from him at some point to know how useful those cards were. Either way, congrats to Peacock, congrats to Dylan on the great performance, and happy birthday, Ben.
Happy birthday, Ben.
All right, I guess
metal man.
I guess I should talk about the metal list. So we have Joseph Novak here at 7th place with metal, taking full advantage of some of the new cards that came out in the Chaos Rising set. Looking at you, the magnetic, it's either magnet or magnetic energy, and then the Philippe. So you'll notice there's a Berserker in this list. Was able to cut down on the Matang as an energy acceleration, making room for another bench spot for the Berserker, adding 20 damage to from his metal guys. And because of the Philippe that allows you to have energy acceleration from the discard pile on a supporter. So you're not dependent on using that Metal Maker ability to attach energies from the top deck, which allows you to then cut down and thin on your metal energies, going down to 5 basic metal energies, which is incredibly low with an engine like the Revavroom. You does have quite a few special here in the counter, the reversal energy, and both of the special metal energies, the one that reduces 10 damage and that magnet energy giving you free retreat. So a really pretty big shakeup from, I mean, this is as similar. I guess I'll compare it to, the Arch Nemesis list, and that it has the Archalodon, but a lot has changed from this. Not saying it's based off that list or anything, because people have been using Archalodon since it came out, but also having the not the Stellar Wish Jirachi, but the Amazing Rare Jirachi in there. A little less effective at pulling cards off the top of your deck, only looking at 2 and putting one of them into your hand, versus the Stellar Wish digging 5 and getting any trainer. I'm guessing the synergy I see there with the deck is that we also have, in the theme of replacing that Metang energy acceleration, the Turbo Energize in this list. And one of the things having used both Jirachis, back and forth in my lists, is that the biggest downside of the Stellar Wish is that you cannot use Stellar Wish and then Turbo Energize. So you can have a really strong start by using this Jirachi's ability, then attaching the Turbo Energize and Turbo Energizing, getting the energy acceleration along with that additional card to hand. So a lot of cool things happening here. I will give a shout out to that Galarian Meowth with the ability that lets you discard a couple cards from your hand. So and possibly empowering an early Philippe. I actually did try it. A similar list. I changed quite a few cards, but this idea, I tried it this Thursday, and the Philippe is not as fast at getting your deck going as the Metang is necessarily, but with that Meowth, you can throw some energies in the discard pile early to be able to use an early Philippe. So a lot of cool synergies happening in this deck here. And innovations just from the new cards from the new set, causing things to shift around quite a bit.
Yeah, we love to see a big creative swing pay off into a new field. So props to Joseph for the creativity, for believing in the metal deck to even give it a shot with the new cards. I think us on the pod are guilty of maybe writing off Philippe and the retreat energy as being a little lackluster, but getting a top 8 as soon as they were released, pretty good statement.
Cool to
so,
see that they work in the deck.
Yeah, Philippe seems stronger than maybe I had imagined, especially with things like that Meowth, and obviously it being a much better type than fire is, of course. So yeah, congrats, Joseph.
Congrats,
my boy Chase.
Let's go, Chase.
In 8th place. Had to do it to him. Another team kill back to back, John and then Chase. Hate to see it, but evil, props to Chase. I'm so evil, man. I'm evil. The villain. I'm the villain of Full Grip. But yeah, I mean, very strong list. I was talking to Chase. He was like, I don't know what to play. And not that I am responsible for him playing this at all. He probably was talking to everybody. I also was talking to everybody. Like, I don't know what to play. That's what everybody says before 3K. But I was like, honestly, he'd probably just play Natu Blindside. That's probably the best deck. He made a couple swaps from something like Brooks' list or Winter's list in the past. One thing, the main thing that stands out to me in Chase's list, outside the Frillish is a big one, but 5 basic psychic energy seems a little insane to me, and it worked out. I have not had a chance to talk to Chase, but I need to ask him
what the thought process was there.
What the thought process was. Like, obviously we've got the rainbow energy, so you get the extra attachment to Monkey Dory. It's an extra special to search off of.
He also doesn't have mystery.
No mystery, but does have Floatstone.
Okay, has floatstone.
Yeah, it has floatstone
Also,
because I think that's better with like Frillish, you know?
yeah, opting to play Tulip over Clara.
Right. Yeah. So the rainbow is another out
Yeah, it gives him
to
another out to Dory.
Monkey Dory. But yeah, Frillish, you know, John is always, whenever we talk about Psychic in the past few months, John's always like, I want to fit Frillish in here. So what do you have to say about Frillish?
I really like the Frillish. One of my list that I was like thinking of playing for Psychic was involved like the three of the cards were like the Frillish, Floatstone, and actually Artisan is one of the stadiums combo, just because like you can Goose Hollow for all that, and just like the energy, the Artisan for the Frillish, and the Floatstone to get into it. So you're attacking. You've got the energy on the Frillish. You're not having to use it to find the Frillish and like get it in the active. You know, Chase doesn't have the Artisan in this list, but I really like that. It's so good at like slowing down decks. It's like it's kind of like what you were saying with like I really want Hex and not necessarily like this deck in particular, but Hex in general into the top decks because it's so good. I kind of think the same way with Frillish because it's like if you just get an early, if you're attacking with Frillish to start, you're just like slowing down so many decks that are like every deck needs to use their items to set up. It's an incredibly good first attacker. You're also just like setting up damage on your opponent's Pokemon, which can come into play later, which is really good depending on how many turns you get that set down for. But yeah, it's I love to see the Frillish in this list. It's something definitely I was considering if I was going to play Psychic, and happy to see Chase went with it here.
Talk about like a mirror tech card. Frillish in them playing. I wonder again. I also don't have omnipotent knowledge, but I wonder how many mirrors Chase played, and if Frillish made a huge difference. And like my assumed answer would probably be yes, because when you are getting Frillish and you don't have the Frillish yourself, like it makes such a huge difference. It's like standard, like when like the Badoo war. Like if I'm getting Badoo, but I'm not also Badooing my opponent, like you can fall behind so quickly without even realizing.
Yeah,
it makes a lot of sense too with the Dimension Valley being gone. It's like you're not as aggressive as a deck as you were before, and so saying, "Fine, I'm not going to be aggressive, but I'm going to make it so my opponent's not going to be able to be as aggressive either."
Yeah. I think I heard. Maybe Tony can confirm, but Chase could not same 60 with Dylan and Peacock because Chase and Dylan as roommates also share all their decks, so there was only one fighting deck between the two of them.
I think so, yeah.
And so Chase had to play a different type.
I forget what I think there was like a card that was like all that was preventing them from same 60ing, but I forget.
That's so crazy. Funny. If it wasn't the Tropical Beach, which it wasn't, what I wonder what it was.
Yeah. Who knows? And not that obviously Chase could have played, could have borrowed, Carpenter wasn't playing. He could have borrowed Carpenter's fighting deck. Like, he had no shortage of options if he really wanted to play fighting.
Yeah, so. I don't think Chase regrets his decision.
Absolutely not. He made top 8 for sure.
Go.
So
plus 150.
Yeah, plus 150. Plus, he's mad that it's not for the standard 5K Invitational. His main goal has been to qualify for the standard 5K Invitational, and he's been so close so many times, and then gets top 8 at GLC, and that doesn't help him get there. But
we all believe in Chase, bro.
Yeah, he's gonna get it at the Abyss Pitch Black. Pitch Black 3K for sure. Yeah, shout out Chase. Congrats on the run. Congrats. Sorry I had to end your whole career, bro. Now, we spent a lot of time talking about our list, our fighting list, and the top 8 decks. And to close out our episode, we are going to briefly show off some of the other cool lists in the field, just for you guys to take a look at and reference. And before we talk about the list specifically, I want to show you where you can find all the lists yourself. If you go to glc.morsemakes.com, where I have all the league data. If you look at the toolbar on the left or on the menu, if you're on mobile, down towards the bottom third, you can see the tab that says 3K results. Click on CRI May 2026 for all of the results, the full standings, and all the lists, all 71 lists that were played at the 3K. You can see them in order of standings. On the right has the type and the archetype. And if you click on any of the links, it'll take you to a list, and you can view it right there. For example, this one.
John Patterson. Wow.
John Patterson's list.
Wow.
Oh yeah,
Hey,
go to
that's a good list.
glc.morsemakes.com if you want to check out any of the lists that were played. But yeah, let's quickly go over. We're not going to spend a lot of time discussing. Why don't we just go? We'll take turns one at a time, just highlighting the list and what we like about it. So I'll go first. Talk about Fran's deck. Congrats to Fran on getting 9th place. Unfortunately, bubbling out of Top Cat right behind Chase. Very well played. I did play against Fran in Swiss as well.
Dude, your team killed
Unfortunately,
everybody.
I know, dude. Yeah.
Holy cow.
Yeah. Yep. I did kill everybody. Fran was right there doing well. Props to Fran for getting almost a top 8 with a list that it's not Blindside and it's not Deoxys, but she was right there playing a more forward classic Monkey Tina deck with Blacephalon as like your multi-prize strong turn option. Just very consistent deck, has pretty strong disruption cards like that Judge and Lost City, so 2 dark energy as well. So all that space saved from the Blindside or from the Deoxys goes to boosting the power level of her Monkey Dory or disruption package. Lost City being incredible against fighting decks if you can get rid of Okidogi or like one of the rocks. And your Giratina just keeps coming back. So great job. Cool list. If you're not into if you're not into like the Blindside stuff or the Deoxys stuff and want just a really, really strong psychic list, give this a shot.
This
So,
is what Sauce's
congrats.
psychic looks like right now, I think. And it even still has a little bit of sauce, which is cool. So
The tiniest bit.
Yeah.
shout out
Sauce
Fran.
going in different directions. Sauce on the side.
Yep.
That should be the name.
Sauce on the side.
Sauce
I
on the
like
side.
that.
That's
Psychic
good.
with sauce on the side, please.
Yep.
Yeah. Good job, Fran.
All right. Next up, we got Lee Hoffman, who we were mentioning earlier on, has the Deoxys list and is completely built into the Deoxys. Has the Psychic Mirage Gardevoir from Next Destinies, as well as the Smoochum with the Delightful Kiss attack, which lets you accelerate 2 Psychic Energies to one of your bench Pokemon. So, yeah, fully bought into Deoxys. No other... I guess there are some other tricks, actually. There's Blacephalon, which we were seeing in Broken Winter's Deoxys deck, as well as this deck plays Cresselia, so maybe some protection from RDT that was high on Lee's radar. Some other interesting cards here. We got Judge to help with disruption as well as your Iron Boulder turns. Keep looking forward. We got Silent Lab, which is something that we saw Broken Winter not playing, just to help you kind of shut off bench barrier as well as shut off rocks in the fighting matchup.
Avery,
yep, another disruption to go along with the parallel. So yeah, I like the mix of disruption to go along with mixing that in with your Deoxys attack to kind of like wreck your opponent's board as much as possible.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we talked a lot about how some similar things can be accomplished with Dusknoir in the past. You go parallel Dusknoir, knock out the Octave, you go take them down from 6 to 2 Pokemon in play. It's like Deoxys is accomplishing the same thing. So having the Avery, having the parallel to do that. So yeah, congrats Lee on the good run. Also just right outside of top 8.
Yeah, shout out Lee for signing my Raging Bolt as well. Beautiful signature.
All right, now we're getting into it. These are the so the story outside of the top 16 really is the how well control how the many different control archetypes we got that kind of had middling results in this tournament. We talked about when we're doing our tier list, we don't really want to put control decks below B tier because they're just they got good pilots who can run them and know what they're doing. So yeah, one of these control decks is Trevor Passmore at 20th place with Ursaluna Control, a deck that won a. Did it win the 3K?
Got
No,
second.
second place at a 3K, a few 3Ks ago. And this was pre fighting becoming very, very strong after the rocks came out, and being able to handle an Ursaluna. But really cool to see control going 4-3, going positive, getting a high placement at a large tournament like this, so dominated by strong decks like fighting and psychic. I don't see too many I don't remember exactly how this list was built the last time we saw it, but I don't see too many crazy changes.
Dunsparce
and Persian are the
and
two
the
different.
Dunsparce and the Meowth.
Yes. Yeah, so we've got that weakness guard ability in the Dunsparce, so preventing it from the Ursaluna from being one hit KO'd, which is very big for this deck because it's trying to loop heal the Ursaluna. And then in matchups where it doesn't have the weakness mattering, it's got the Dunsparce, which allows you to shuffle itself into the deck and draw 3 cards. So very good in control, drawing cards and preventing yourself from decking out. So helping with the loop at the end there. Very good for this deck.
Also, Trevor's got the Persian, the Make 'em Pay Persian, which blast from the past. One of my first colorless deck I built was a Make 'em Pay deck, where you play the initialized Porygon Z to, when you evolve into Porygon Z, your opponent has to devolve all their Pokemon into their hand, and then you go in with Make 'em Pay Persian, which has the attack Make 'em Pay and says your opponent shows you their hand, and you get to discard things until they have 4 cards in hand. So back in the day, you devolve all their Pokemon and then make them pay, discard all their evolutions, and just like wipe out their whole board. But nowadays, just go and make them pay. If your opponent decides they want to get a big hand, which Psychic and Fighting both notoriously grow their hands pretty quickly with Xatu and Gallade and Mew and Kirlia and the Rocks. In a control style deck, you just want to get rid of the switch cards. You want to get rid of anything that might disrupt your game plan. So being able to hand pick the cards that you want to get rid of is just incredibly strong. Not a commonly seen effect. Usually a lot of discard of your opponent's hand effects are random, or they get to choose, as something like Delinquent, they get to choose the cards that they discard. So Persian giving you that option to be the one to select. So really cool option there from Trevor to include that.
Yep.
Then we've got Jeremy Schwab. I think I said his name at the beginning was Joseph. Sorry, Jeremy. I was mixing up with the other Joseph. Was a J name. Jeremy playing the Dual Brains Magnezone control. Looks a lot like Shocklock, but has none of the Shocklock cards. It's straight up just control. You want to loop your item cards with Lantern and with Regieleki, and probably just run your opponent out of resources while milling them with Belelba Bryson Man, playing 2 supporters a turn with the Magnezone in play, and going positive 4-3 in a world of fighting, being the only lightning player in the field as well. So if you're interested in a lightning control deck, maybe give this one a shot. I didn't get to see any. He did play on stream. I don't think it went well on stream. I don't remember. Solid, cool deck. Dual Brains Magnet was just such a cool card,
Yeah.
All lock, no shock.
Exactly. All gas, no breaks. Sauceless Shocklock is what they call it. Oh yeah.
All right. 29th place, we got Consiglio Roselli here. Sorry if I mispronounced that. Otherwise known as Count Sligu in the various GLC discords. Playing their unique metal control style deck here. This is very interesting. I played against Consiglio during Swiss, and I Gus knocked out a unevolved Duraludon, just assuming that it was the Evo prevention, or basic prevention Coded attack, yeah. And this is the first time I'm seeing that it's not. So that's very interesting to me. But yeah, just a control style metal deck here with the Reverum as a draw engine and Dialga to loop. I believe it's items out of the discard, or is it any card?
Any trainer.
Any trainer.
Any card. It's any card.
Loop cards out of the discard pile. Got, the classic control package with things like Belelba and Faba Um,
Clefairy
and
Doll.
yeah, dolls. Yeah, Lux Cape Metal Goggles to make your guys survive, make your Dialga big in the active while um, your opponent attacks into it. Also got the Klefki, John's favorite metal card that I was trying to fit into the Arch Nemesis deck, which has Disable as an attack. So very cool
Yep.
list there.
Yeah, I also paired into Consiglio, funnily enough, and also imagined that the Duraludon would be evolving into the Coded Attack Archaludon. So I gusted it up and punched it with a Soul Rock. So I'm like, all right, I just need to start getting like damage on this. Just like this is the guy. If I can just like knock it out before it evolves, and then evolved it into the free retreat one and just retreated it. And I was like, oh, that felt so silly. But yeah, I played into this and it was like it was very funny because like I just in my match against this just was very fortunate and just found the Gust every time that I needed, which is the Gust the Meowth, because the Berserker flips coins and for each heads lets them discard, pick a trainer card, I think, to discard from your hand so they can discard your switch outs and stuff. So can be a problem, but I was very fortunate in drawing into what I needed pretty much every turn. So
yeah, solid. And yeah, early on they played against a Special Whales on stream that ended up in a tie, but they were one turn away from winning. They tied in time, obviously, but Consiglio's opponent had no cards in deck, but was the final. Consiglio was the final turn, so it doesn't actually pass to his opponent for them to lose the game on deck out. So just one couple seconds short of winning that match that they tied.
Yep.
To deck out. So the deck was cool. Give it a shot. Another cool, unique way to play an under what's the word? An underrepresented type.
Yeah.
Yep.
Shout out Consiglio.
Shout out Council Goo.
JD Drill Mill ran it back. He's Drill Mill's. He loves that deck, man.
That's his
3/3 this time. Stronger deck.
It was funny. I asked him, I was like, dude, you play this to like every 3K at League. I was like, why don't you play it like at League anymore? And he's like, I have my fighting badge. And I was like, oh yeah, he won his fighting badge like a month or two into the season.
Forever.
And I just like completely forgot about it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a really cool, unique list. Just looping, if you don't know, just looping that Excadrill, pulling 4 cards from your discard pile back into your deck. So yeah, really, really cool loop it can pull off at the end, using the Lux Cape and the Focus Sash to make itself, unable to be knocked out, and then looping cards to do it again the next turn while milling you. So
this
very cool deck.
This was I played against JD. This was my closest game of the weekend for sure, and it came down to JD. Ultimately missed. He played his Surge loop incorrectly, where I can't remember the exact sequence, but if he had played different supporters with Surge, it would have made me a lot. I don't think he had necessarily had the game locked up, but it would have made me a lot harder to win. It would have made it a lot harder for me to win.
You know what I'm just noticing? Look at that Soul Rock he's playing, bro.
Yeah, it's just has double draw.
Why would he be attacking?
I know. I think the one time I played against a Drill Mill deck, like on a webcam tournament, they were playing the normal attacking Soul Rock. But yeah, JD playing the double draw Soul Rock and the triple draw Hitmontop. So just wanting early game, just wanting to draw 3 with Lunatone, draw 6 with Clay, draw 7 with Clay or whatever, and then draw 3 more with you just want to get to the end of your deck as fast as possible. So yeah, play those draw cards as attacks.
JD was going straight into like Surge turns, getting stuff back, rototillering on like his 3rd or 4th turn. Like it was absurdly quick how fast he got to the bottom of his deck.
Yeah.
That's crazy, man. That's crazy. Shout out JD.
Shout out.
Next up, we got Frank Massey at 59th place. Pretty far down there, unfortunately, but another interesting, different colorless control archetype we wanted to talk about. This is Stoutland control. Stoutland having an ability while it's active, your opponent cannot play supporter cards from their hand, so it's supporter lock. And then what's that little guy's name? The Lillipup. Having an attack that is retreat lock prevents the opponent from retreating. So you get something stuck in the active, they can't play their switch supporter cards to move it, and they can't manually retreat it. And you're kind of trying to stall them out that way. A lot of energy denial. We got the handheld fan. Your typical control supporters that you've got there. We're seeing that make them pay. I want to say Berserker, but it's not right. It's
Persian.
Meowth and Persian. You don't see Persian as much as you see Berserker anymore. To be able to discard cards from your opponent's hands. It's also got that Dunsparce to Dunsparce package in there. Protect yourself against fighting. Draw some more cards. Just a really interesting, different way to play control. Got the Gormandice Snorlax for some early draw. We mentioned the Drill Mill deck, just wanting to draw cards early. Kind of same thing with this. Just get your deck set up, doing what it's supposed to do.
Yeah, just a flexible deck. It can go Retreat Lock to win. It can go Mill to win with, Bunnelby and Belelba and Persian. So a couple different options there. And I also want to shout out Luna. Luna also played this deck. Don't want to erase Luna's presence with the deck either. Shout out Frank and Luna. I believe they are friends and worked on the list together potentially. I don't know if it's the same 60 for sure, but multiple Stoutland controls out there, and really cool combo. The Stoutland is with all those options. So yeah, lots of control decks in the field, lots of different control decks. I think this is honestly a really fun. Control is just really fun in this format because it's not BDIF, but there's lots of strong control options and unique control options. That, in my opinion, if I was a control player, and we didn't even, Terraplume didn't even really make a huge presence at this event, which is another semi-control style deck. But I think it's a really cool environment for control to thrive and like a creative way to build in GLC. So shout out all you guys cooking with control decks and bringing them to the 3Ks and and making people be honest in their deck builds and having to respect it in some capacity. There's a lot out there and you don't know when you're going to hit it. But yeah, good stuff to everybody at the 3K. It was a fun event. Thank you all for watching the vlog, supporting, saying hi at the event, hanging out, signing cards. It was just a blast, and that's gonna do it for our Chaos Rising 3K coverage. The next 3K, Pitch Black, in July, I will not be in attendance at. I will be traveling. I believe John and Tony will probably be playing, so we will definitely be covering it more reliably than this one, since I won't be doing anything. But yeah, thank you all for supporting, for watching. You guys have any final thoughts of the 3K before we close it out?
Same stuff that Ben said. Thanks everybody for coming up, saying what's up. It was a blast. It always is. I'll see you guys in July for the next one.
Yeah, shout out to Ben. Ben mentioned the card signing. While Ben was playing in top 8, Tony and I were getting into the card signing culture. So shout out to that group of people, everyone who's willing to sign cards. I got my Xatu decked out by Winter. Got bows and stars and everything all over it. Very fun part of the format to be involved in. So that was cool. Also, just want to shout out a fan of the pod, Mike. He said we met with Mike, said he came out just because of the podcast to come to the 3K. So thanks for coming out. That was really cool to talk to you. But yeah, that's all I got. I think that's all we got. So signing off for the GLCL crew. We will GL. See you next time.
See ya.